All right, guys, thank you for joining me today on another episode here on this channel. In today's episode, I'm going to be making a different type of video from what I normally talk about. And I'm going to be talking about a TV show. And normally I don't talk much about TV shows on this channel. I've tried it before and don't usually get a lot of views, but it has been a very, very long time since I actually tried making one. I guess you have to go back to Game of Thrones last year. And that season was terrible, but the views didn't really come from those videos I put out. So I'm going to try it again. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I found out about a show on Starz called Outlander. Now, Outlander is actually on Netflix right now. So if you actually have a Netflix account, you can actually watch seasons 1 through 3. Now, right now, there's actually 5 seasons. So for the other 2 seasons, you're either going to have to go directly to Starz or you can just go to Amazon Prime. Now, I do have a Prime membership. If you want Starz right now, they're only charging $5 a month for the first 3 months. And then you can watch seasons 4 through 5. And from what I've heard, they actually greenlit a 6th season as well. So there you have it. That's how you can actually watch this show. Now, this video isn't going to be really a review of each season or anything like that because, hey, I'm a late bloomer to this and it makes no sense for me to review season 1 right now when they're on season 5 now. So consider this video more of an overview of the entire show up to this point. I mean, the show is not ending, so they're going to continue with more stories. And I'm just going to kind of give you my take on this show and if you should actually watch it or not. Now, right off the bat, is it a good TV show? Yes, it is a very, very good TV show. I mean, if it wasn't, I wouldn't be binge watching seasons 1 through 5 right now. I'll be trying to do something else with my free time. It's a very good show. Now, the show stars Katrina Balfe as Claire Beecham Randall Fraser. And it also stars Sam Hegan as Jamie Fraser. Okay. Now, this is a time traveling TV show. But if you are watching the show, it does have a Game of Thrones type of tone to it to a certain extent. It takes place in the 1940s after World War II and the 1970s. And for the time travel thing, it is actually in the 1740s, 50s, 60s, somewhere around there. And we'll kind of get to the time traveling part of it. But mainly, Katrina Balfe is the main star of the movie, or the TV show, I should say, as Claire. Now, her character, believe it or not, as much as I really, really do like this show, I cannot stand her character. You may be thinking, how can you watch this show when you don't like the character? Well, it has nothing to do with Katrina Balfe's performance. Actually, she is fantastic as Claire. Let me give you a little bit of a backstory on Claire. Claire is a World War II veteran that is from England. And she's married to a man called Frank. And some kind of way, I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention to the first 2 episodes. And I was only really watching this show because my wife wanted me to watch it. So I was kind of not paying attention completely at first. But there are these stones out in Scotland. And these stones actually allow certain people to actually time travel back in time. Now, the way the timeline thing works, okay, she's transported back 200 years in the past. But however, when she comes back to the present, she actually ends up in the present based on how many years she was actually in the past. So let's say, for example, if it was 1750, she was there for 2 years. If she came back in the future, it would be 2 years from when she actually left originally. Okay. So I know time travel in TV shows and movies can get very, very confusing, but that's the way it works in this show. Now, the reason I'm not a big fan of her is actually she's married to Frank. She's happily married and she ends up going back in time and she's actually in Scotland. And of course, during those days, the Scots did not trust the British, because they were basically oppressed by England. And they always thought that she was a spy and everything like that. But she's ended up forcing to have an arranged marriage with Jamie, who she barely knows. Now you may be thinking, all right, she's forced to marry Jamie, but she's already married to Frank, even though Frank isn't really born yet. That's true. And through this show, really, marriage is more about survival than love. So Jamie and Claire, they really don't even know each other. But they get married. And of course, when you get married, especially in those days, you have to consummate the marriage. And they do. But however, she actually had a chance to go back to Frank, go through the stones, and guess what? She didn't do it. And Jamie actually sent her back wanted her to go back to her own time. But she didn't do it. She had a chance. She passed it up. And so she stays there for 2 years. And then I think it's the second season, she actually goes back and she's actually pregnant with Jamie's daughter. And that was the only reason why she was sent back, because there was this Battle of Culloden and apparently everybody's going to be wiped out for the Scots. So he was just protecting her and his unborn baby. So she's sent back in time and she's actually sent back to her own time and brought back to Frank. She tells Frank everything, and Frank is a stand-up guy. He actually says, okay, we're still married, because they are still married, and we're going to raise the child as our own. But she never gave Frank that affection once again that she gave Jamie. Actually, to me, she treated Frank pretty horribly, if you ask me. And I didn't like that. And every time I see her on screen, she's a magnet for trouble. She really is. And Frank is a historian. He's a professor at a college. So the way she treated Frank, that really bothers me every single season. That's the only reason why I don't like her character. But however, if you like adventure and things like that, you're really going to like this show, because, you're going to end up in Scotland. You're going to see Boston in the 1940s and 50s, 60s, and 70s. You're going to see France in the 1700s. It's a lot of fun to actually watch this show. Pirates, a lot of different things. 5 seasons, I can't run through every single thing on this show, but every single season, there seems to be a main theme, and they even immigrate to America, and they're actually making a life here in America right now. You actually get to see the Cherokee Indians as well as the Mohawks in New York. That was on the last season, and that was really, really a lot of fun to actually see that. Now, I told you guys this isn't really a review, because there's a whole bunch of stuff, and everything that I'm saying it's just going to take way too long to talk about it. But maybe some of you guys that are watching right now have already seen the show and you already have your own judgments. But if you have, do you actually agree with me about my feelings about Claire? Now, my wife doesn't like any of the women in the show because they all seem to make bad decisions. Claire, her daughter, Brianna, and the only woman that my wife actually likes is Jenny, who is actually Jamie's sister. But she's a minor character in this show. Not a whole lot of screen time. But all the other women, she does not really like. And Claire's daughter with Jamie actually does come back in time, and she does clash with her real father. For one thing, dealing with a 18th century man when you're from the 20th century, it's going to be cultural differences. It's going to be times are different back then. Marrying for love probably wasn't a normal thing back then. You married for status, and he has his own culture, Claire actually brought a picture back of their daughter in a bikini, and he almost lost it because people back then didn't really show their bodies the way we do today. Even at beaches, it just wasn't like that. But overall, it's still a really good show. I'm going to be watching episode number 2 of season 5. I highly recommend this show if you just need something to watch. It's a lot of fun. It really, really is. Not made for kids because there's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of sets. But if you're a Game of Thrones fan, I think you'll like this. The cinematography is really, really good. The acting is good as well. And maybe you guys feel the same way that me and my wife do about Claire. My wife was kind of a late bloomer to Claire, but once she kind of saw the way that Claire was actually treating Frank, her real husband, her first husband, yeah, she kind of came around and said, I really don't like her character. She's flawed. But I think that's the angle that also makes the show interesting, because she was already married before to a person that was truly in love with her, and she was in love with him. And she goes back in time and married someone else who she actually loves even more. So I guess that kind of makes everything in this show more complicated. So if she wasn't married, then maybe the show wouldn't be as interesting. But still, overall, I don't really care for her character as a person. Katrina Balfe, fantastic. Sam, who plays Jamie, he's fantastic too. Check out this show. Check it out on Netflix at first if you already have Netflix. And then go to Amazon Prime, get that, sign up for Starz. You will not regret it. It's a very, very good TV show. But that's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Outlander. Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. If you're new here to the channel, please hit subscribe to catch future videos from me. And we will catch you on the next video. John Matrixx, out.